Our name is Ghosts Want You Dead. When the path you are on is long and arduous, the scenery begins to repeat in a cyclical, monotonous way. For some, taking a diversion might be in order to shake things up. Which is to say, Matthew and I just got back from a podcast road trip. Hey, how's it going? Say hi.
Hello. Or hi, as
Howdy.
I was instructed to say. We spent a night out of town for secret reasons, but have returned.
We're back.
And on our little road trip, while we were having our hotel slumber party, I brought my projector from home and we watched our 5 episodes of Dark Shadows on the wall, and that was fun.
It was.
Until Becca fell asleep during the last one, so if you notice me talking more towards the end, it's because she fell asleep.
Yeah, and I think I'd probably stop taking notes like about halfway into that episode because I was getting sleepy. But I was like trying to hang on. And I'd gotten up a bunch of times to turn the light on or shuffle around because I am a sleepy person.
We did, for this month's $5 Patreon Tea in the Drawing Room bonus podcast, we got experimental and recorded on the road. So that particular bonus episode this month will be Diet Pepsi and Gatorade in the car instead of tea in the drawing room.
Yep.
But we had just finished that and we have just arrived back to my house. And now we're going to talk to you about Dark Shadows.
We are. We've been wrapped up with Bird Lady, and now we are on to Jerry Maguire.
I miss Bird Lady.
Me too. I liked her more than Jerry Maguire. In episode 196, Victoria Winters tells us that Jerry Maguire is here to shake things up. He says hello to Liz, and Liz seems shocked and mad and like, why are you here?
She's very cold and curt with him, and he's behaving as though they're old friends.
He says he hasn't been fully introduced to Carolyn. Liz begrudgingly introduces her. Liz asks what the heck he's doing here, and he says, you should well know. Opening credits.
But that was a fake out. After the opening credits, Jerry Maguire tells her all he meant was that he had sent a letter that said he was coming. Then he goes on being vague and pretentious, repeatedly referring to the last night he saw the house 18 years ago. Remember, Liz, what happened 18 years ago? And she certainly does, but they're not going to tell us about it for some time.
She shoos Carolyn away to go make coffee with Mrs. Johnson or whatever. So something about coffee and Mrs. Johnson. She was just trying to get her out of the room so she could talk to this strange man. He tries to butter her up and compliment her timeless beauty, and she's pretty hostile and cold with him, as Matthew said. She wants to know why he's here. Just like, get out with it. Why are you here? And he says he's just passing through and implies some bit of subtext that indicates he is holding something that happened 18 years ago over her, and he is going to blab it unless Liz caters to him. And it's all vague and veiled, but
It's
he.
the new what on earth could Laura be up to?
Yes.
Let's wonder about it for 60 episodes.
Yep.
Or
And we're stuck with Jerry Maguire probably
for a little while. Not as long as Laura, I don't think.
He invites her to invite him to stay, and she protests, but he blackmails at her a bunch. Upstairs, Carolyn and Liz are gossiping about Jerry Maguire, and Vicky tells Carolyn about him asking questions about the family at the diner.
Vicky's like, "Oh, yeah, I met that creep at the diner, and he asked a million questions about your family and what their exact locations at that moment might be." But Carolyn seems to be charmed by the creep. Vicky is decidedly not. It seems like maybe Carolyn might vaguely suspect that he's her real dad, but then also it seems like she's attracted to him.
That also
So,
makes sense for Carolyn.
yeah.
Follows us wherever we go.
Yeah, we cannot escape incest.
No.
Every bit of pop culture we talk about seems to involve it these days.
All the familial fucking right at us. Downstairs, Jerry Maguire blackmails at her some more. We should also note Jerry Maguire is just what we're calling him.
Yeah, I like it, and I'm
It's
not going to call him Jason because it was so funny when Becca said it for the first time that he's just Jerry Maguire
He is
now.
Jerry Maguire.
And I know it's probably not as funny as I think it is, but that's his name
It
now.
makes me
Damn it.
happy.
In the drawing room, Jerry Maguire is still bullying Liz into inviting him to stay. He alludes to her owing him something. Maybe he is Carolyn's dad. They go back and forth about it until he threatens her that turning him away would be unwise. So she changes her tune and then asks him how long he plans to stay. He will only answer, long enough. Then he retires to the sofa, pleased with himself, and he fixes himself a cup of coffee and tells Liz not to be nervous. He continues to be slimy and vaguely threatening. She agrees to let him stay, but tries to stick him in a subpar room on the ground floor near the servants' quarters, and he demands a nicer room than what she initially offers, and he's clearly enjoying being in a fancy house. He asks if they dress for dinner at Collinwood, and she says, "No, but you're welcome to just eat in your room," as if to say, "And we don't want you to join us for dinner." But he's offended, and then Roger enters looking shocked, like, "Who the fuck is this dude that Liz has in the house?"
Yeah, he comes in and Liz kind of tries to take him for an aside, but he introduces himself to Jerry Maguire and he says, "Nice to see you again." Roger doesn't remember who the fuck he is and is like, "Oh, okay." Liz says that he's just passing through, but Jerry Maguire pushes it and he passes on a brandy when Roger offers, saying he will join him with one later. Pressing Liz with his eyes, she relents and says she asked him to stay over. And Roger's like, "Really?
You
Okay."
haven't ever had a house guest. Why
Right.
this creep? Why now?
Yeah. Jerry Maguire goes to get his things and asserts dominance at Liz with his eyeballs again before leaving
And
while
Roger
he's thanking her.
Before Jerry leaves to collect his things, Roger is surprised by the arrangement, but at this point, he is still being polite to Jerry Maguire
Sure.
and is like, "Yeah,
Okay.
okay."
As soon as Jerry Maguire leaves, Roger's like, "Who the fuck is this stranger you've offered a bed to?" And she tells him that he was a friend of Paul, her ex-husband. And Roger's like, "And you want him here?" Like, he
Paul, her missing husband, they're not
oh, yeah, her
divorced,
missing
and we
husband.
don't know if he's alive or dead. I
That's right.
Her vanished husband.
Yeah, her vanished husband, and Roger doesn't believe it or understand why Liz has suddenly decided to let anyone associated with Paul stay with him, kind of indicating that he was a rough and tumble baddie.
Yeah, Roger has a low opinion of Paul, and so Jerry Maguire, being a friend of Paul's, does not recommend him well. He's like, "Why would you let any friend of his stay here?"
She goes to window gaze about it, and he follows. He wants to know how long Jerry Maguire will be staying, and Liz can't be certain, but says it will be brief. Carolyn and Vicky come in, and Carolyn is bummed that her new prospective daddy husband has already left. Roger teases that he will be around.
Liz explains at Roger's prodding that she has invited Jerry Maguire to stay, and Carolyn is just thrilled about that. She is surprised at Liz, like, "Oh, that's weird that you've never had a house guest in my entire life, but suddenly invited this rando to stay."
Yeah.
And she tells Liz, like, "You didn't seem particularly happy to see him when he got here, so I'm surprised you would ask him to stay, but I'm glad." And then at that, Liz loses her temper and yells at Carolyn, like, "You just shut your fucking mouth. You don't know what I feel." Like, she's real mad.
Yeah.
And then she gets all grand and mean to Roger, too. And
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh, shit." We set her up. Carolyn apologizes, and Liz warns Carolyn that she must be particularly careful to ignore what she might see and hear around here in the near future. Like,
Yeah.
this whole thing is weird. Just don't pay attention. Just pretend everything's cool. And Carolyn says that, "Oh, don't worry. She'll make Jerry feel very welcome." Tells her, "Oh, no, don't do that." But Carolyn insists it's no trouble, and she exits.
And then Liz is telling Vicky not to tell anyone about her being in the basement, and Liz says she's got to trust somebody, and maybe she's gonna tell Vicky about whatever she's being blackmailed about, was the way I kind of read that, but then
Well,
they don't follow back up on it.
Vicky is concerned about
Yeah.
Liz more so than Carolyn seemed to be.
And
Like,
mainly because she's just back from the hospital and is now acting weird.
well, and yeah, Vicky knows that whole situation was weird and is like, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?"
Yeah.
And that's when Liz asks Vicky for her support and reiterates that Vicky must never reveal that she caught Liz in the basement in the night.
Yeah.
So this seems to be somehow connected to Jerry Maguire, who elsewhere is making a phone call telling someone everything is going beautifully. End credits.
Muahaha, vuahaha. End credits. Episode 197. Victoria Winters tells us that Jerry Maguire is the Phantom of the Opera or something about masks and intentions.
He
That
ha
one tickled me.
he has an evil smile and dangerous eyes, she says.
Yeah. You did say that he kind of looked like
Oh, yeah, I said that
Andrew Scott.
with the faces that this actor is pulling, he looks a bit like if Hot Priest from Fleabag was being, inhabited by a Men in Black alien, like in Men in Black.
I'd still hit that though. Men in Black Alien and all.
Well, Jerry is strutting down the foyer stairs, real pleased with himself at Collinwood, and he bids Liz a good morning, and he praises the lovely accommodations. Liz warns him not to get too comfortable, and she's being kind of snippy with him and demands to know when he'll be leaving. He says he still doesn't know, but kind of implies he could get used to this fancy house and might be around for quite some time. Then Liz asks, "Well, what if I make it difficult?" And then he threatens to retaliate like I wouldn't if I were you. Opening credits.
Yeah, he's slimy and gross and we don't like him. Jerry Maguire calls the first official meeting of Blackmail Club and tells how he helped her 18 years ago and she was in trouble. He goes around with it and finally to a point that he is broke
Well,
for his reasonings.
they're talking about like he brings up conscience or maybe she asks, like, "Don't you have a conscience?" Trying to get
Yeah.
him to feel bad about manipulating her. And he says that if he had a conscience, he might run straight to the police. And then he asks her, "Why haven't you gone to the police in all these years?" And they're talking around whatever it is that happens. And he is trying to be subtle about the fact that he's blackmailing her before, as you said, Rebecca, he just comes out and tells her that he's broke.
Right.
And down to the one shabby outfit that he's wearing, and maybe Liz could call the clothing store and authorize him to make some purchases on her account.
Liz is under duress. Over with Sam, he is milling around his studio and he decides to call a meeting of Manslaughter Club since there's new competition in town for clubs of that nature.
Yeah,
He's really called to see about those paintings that Roger is supposed to be finding, which technically is still a part of Manslaughter Club. Roger says they were not where he thought they were. Sam gets aggressive and says that if he doesn't find him soon, I don't know what I was trying to say, but
Sam repeats his threat to spill the manslaughter beans.
yeah, in the basement, it's all spooky with cobwebs, and there's a flashlight shining down onto all the cobwebs, and we see the holder of the flashlight to be Roger. He is snooping around down there, presumably looking for the paintings.
He eventually fiddles with the lock on Liz's secret room, and then he hears footsteps approaching and hides.
And it's Jerry Maguire, and he's down there snooping too now. Roger comes across him, now also trying to pick the lock, and Roger wants to know what the hell he's doing down there.
The way Roger surprises him is very funny, though, because Jerry Maguire, rather than turning on the overhead light in the basement, is lighting matches to light his way. And he's lit a match with one hand and is fiddling with the lock on the secret room with his other hand. And Roger just emerges from the shadows and shines his flashlight on the lock, like, "Does that help you see better?"
Yeah, I forgot that. That was pretty funny.
But he wants to know what Jerry is doing in the basement, and Jerry plays dumb and is like, "Oh, I got lost. This house is so big." Roger shines his flashlight in Jerry's eyes until he has to ask him to stop. Roger wants to know why he was so interested in that lock, and then Jerry's like, "Oh, I used to collect padlocks."
Yeah.
Roger smells the bullshit. Jerry admits that he was just curious and snooping. Roger then questions Jerry about Paul Stoddard. He wants to know if he's heard from him and where he is, and has he talked to him? Has he talked to anybody that's talked to him? When did he last see him? And Jerry tells us the last time that he saw him was in this very basement 18 years ago.
Dun, dun, dun.
Jerry changes the subject by asking Roger to elaborate on some gossip he heard in town that Liz had become a sterile recluse. And Roger does so. He's like, "Well, I wouldn't say that, but it's true that she doesn't go out and hasn't since Paul left." Jerry's like, "Interesting. Right when Paul left, she shut herself up in the house. Wonder why that might be." Jerry asks Roger what his business in the basement was, and he refuses to answer. So they're both just like, "Well, we were clearly both up to something and mutually assured destruction and whatnot." So they just wander back upstairs.
Liz is in the drawing room when Roger comes up asking if Liz has seen these paintings he's looking for. And she's like, no. and he asks if he can have the key to her padlocked basement room. A new euphemism up for grabs, kids. She says no and badly lies, saying she doesn't know where it is, and Roger's like, "Yes, you do, like, you were just had it, like, on your wrist the other
You
day."
wear it around your neck at all times
Yeah.
and were desperate to get it back as soon
Yeah,
as you got back
right.
from the hospital.
So Roger's suspicious, and he is pissy with her and does mention that Jerry Maguire was also nosing around down there.
Liz doesn't like
No,
that at all.
not at all.
At the Blue Whale, is drinking. Roger enters in his detective outfit once again and sneaks up on him from behind. Roger is being oddly meek and apologetic, explaining to Sam that he has searched just everywhere and he just can't find the paintings. Sam is pissed. He's mad at Roger's apparent disregard for his work, and he restates that why would he hang on to the paintings? He only took them in the first place to make the manslaughter bribe look legit. And Roger's like, shh, we're in public. Sam yells at Roger, who then skulks off to look for the paintings elsewhere.
At Collinwood.
Liz ambushes Jerry in the foyer. He's off to go clothes shopping on her dime, and she asks him just what he was doing in the basement. He says something about refreshing his memory. She mentions Roger seeing him fiddling with the lock, and Jerry says, "Oh, that lock? Yeah, I could pick that lock anytime I wanted." So clearly, the locked room involves or is involved in whatever secret Liz and Jerry share.
Roger goes to the basement and starts bashing at the lock with a hatchet or an axe. That's a question we've asked before on this
I
show, but
couldn't tell what that
he's
was. I was
bashing it.
like, is it a crowbar? Is it a
Yeah,
hammer? Is it
he is trying to smash that lock with a hand tool of some
an
kind.
old hunk of metal?
End credits.
Episode 198.
Victoria Winters says the basement is spooky and everyone wants to know what's going on with Liz's padlocked basement room. We see Roger again whacking away at the padlock, and Liz comes down and is pissed. Roger doesn't care and says he's gonna get in there. She threatens him and says she'll just kick him the fuck out of this house if he does.
She tells him to stop, and he says he will stop or he won't stop until she gives him the key. Then she says no and tells him if he touches the door again, she's gonna kick him out once and for all. Opening credits.
They fight some more, and it comes out that he wants the paintings for Manslaughter Club, and Liz is like, "Well, no, you can't get in that room because that is for Blackmail Club." Also, she's like, "Are you keeping something from me?" Which is funny because then he's like, "No, are
Well,
you?"
there's a little more to it than that. It's a funny exchange because Roger explains to Liz that he really needs those paintings for Sam. It's an important favor that will help with his career. And she doesn't believe him. She's like, "You hate Sam. Why would you do anything for him? You've never done anybody a favor in your miserable life."
Yeah.
They're going back and forth about that. And then he tries to turn it around on her and is like, "Well, why are you so fucking weird about that locked room? If it's just your husband's old stuff in there, what are you afraid I'm going to see?" Then she suggests to him, perhaps the reason you would do a favor for Sam is if he were holding something over you, perhaps related to manslaughter. And then he clams up, and that's when they're both like, "What are you keeping from me?"
They're just arguing at who's more important, Manslaughter Club or Blackmail Club. At Sam's he is whiny and insufferable and yelling at Maggie, and he's awful, and I don't care what else he got up to. So you can tell about it because I just was mad that whole scene.
Yeah, well, Sam is freaking out and he just knows that whoever's looking for those paintings won't find them, and he's trying to keep it secret from Maggie. So he's just saying he and isn't specifying who. Maggie wants to know, how does someone lose a dozen paintings? And it's not
Yeah.
like something you would misplace. Sam is trying to shoo her off to work, but she's worried about him and she offers to talk to the mysterious painting haver for him. And then he freaks out. And she's just being curious and trying to be helpful, but he screams at her like he always does and shakes her and grabs her, and then he apologizes because they're always sorry. And then in the drawing room at Collinwood, Jerry Maguire is on the phone to someone called Willie. He is bragging about conning his way into Collinwood, and he makes plans to meet up with Willie later, with the implication that he's bringing Willie in on this blackmailing Liz scheme, so maybe he can get himself some fancy new clothes too. Jerry walks around surveying Collinwood and its contents as if deciding what to steal, and he is drinking more of Roger's brandy and gives a little toast to the portrait above the fireplace. Then Liz enters and he's being real nice and complimentary and like, "Gee, you look so pretty today and you're such a nice lady." Clearly wants something, but is being pretentious and annoying about it.
What he wants is more money from her, like an allowance or something. And she starts to be like, fuck off. But he blackmails and
Yeah,
gets what he wants.
she refuses twice. She says no, and then he's like, "Are you sure?" And then she says no again. And then he threatens her, saying that for her sake, she'd better agree because she stands to lose a great deal more than a bit of money if she doesn't comply. They argue and he threatens, which we're going to get a lot of over the next few episodes. She glares at him,
And that's what happened at Blackmail Club. Over at Manslaughter Club,
which is happening at the Evanses at the moment.
it is. Roger is there, and Sam is pissed that Roger could not find the paintings. And they threaten each other a bunch, and then Roger leaves in a huff.
Yeah, they're threatening each other, and Sam tells Roger that he's going to go to Burke and tell him everything. And Roger calls his bluff. He's like, "Well, go on and do it. You know, you're going to go to jail too. So it's going to get pretty bad for you if the manslaughtering gets out." Then they fight, and Roger storms out before Sam throws things, then pours himself a drink. Match cut to Jerry pouring himself a drink at Collinwood in the drawing room. He has certainly made himself at home, and Roger is pissy about it. So Jerry sits at the piano, and Roger asks him how long he plans to stay. Jerry doesn't know, but just goes on and on about his enduring close friendship with Liz as he's striking a major chord on the piano, and Jerry teases Roger about Liz being in charge of the house and the business, and
Yeah, that was funny.
Roger being the useless spare sibling. And then he just starts to play the piano. Back at the Evanses,
Sam is drunk and gross and sitting on the floor. He goes on about the paintings and Roger losing them, and he lets it slip to Maggie that he looked all over Collinwood. And Maggie's like, so it was Roger that bought them years ago.
Roger is the mysterious painting haver.
And she figures out Manslaughter Club and is understandably shocked and disappointed in her father. he screams and yells at her and shakes her and abuses her some more.
He gets scary.
End credits, fuck Sam. Bleh. He does get scary, and I really hate that character, and I feel like they could have done a lot more with it. Because here in a minute, there are things that I like, but I
Well,
don't like that shit.
I especially hate him now that we read Catherine Lee Scott's
Yes.
fictionalization of Dark Shadows
Yes.
called Dark Passages, and who knows how much of that is true, but in that book, the actor that plays the surrogate Catherine Lee Scott character's role on the show in the book, the actor that plays her father sexually harasses her constantly and is always trying to grab her tits and be gross with her. So one would infer from that book that this man, David Ford, did the same to Catherine Lee Scott in
I
real life.
just don't feel like she would have put that in there
I
if he weren't,
Yeah, I
you
can't
know?
imagine why she would unless she just wanted something scandalous and he was dead when she wrote the book, so
Maybe, but I highly doubt it. So speculation aside,
sure, allegedly.
allegedly, but whatever. I
Episode 199.
Yeah. Victoria Winters tells us that secrets are being revealed at the Evanses. Maggie has figured out Manslaughter Club and is spelling it out for us.
But first, we see Sam grab her and scream at her again before admitting that he lied about the manslaughtering.
Opening credits.
Well, she asks him why he did it.
He explains that times were tough and he was offered money and took it. He tells her in more detail what it is that he saw about there was a man on the road and Roger was driving Burke's car. He says that the next day Roger came by and bought the painting for 1500 or
15,000.
15,000 the next day. I'm
And
gonna let you fill in some of that because that was vague. I was getting really tired at this point.
Sam says he did it for Maggie and her mother. Apparently, the manslaughtering happened 2 years before Maggie's mom died. And they were very broke, and he couldn't afford to get her the best medical treatment, and that's why he did it. Sam doesn't exactly tell her the story, she has to guess at it, so Maggie's like, "And you saw the accident?" And he says, "Yes." And she says, "And Burke wasn't driving?" And he says, "Yes." And then she says, "Roger was driving and you saw?" And he says, "Yes." And then he tells her the whole story about being drunk, walking along the highway and seeing a car swerving all around. And I guess in sympathy with other drunks, when he sees Roger hit a guy that seemed to come out of nowhere, he's inclined to side with the other drunk, but he's trying to make Maggie see his point of view, but
She's just
she
heartbroken.
is appalled and
Yeah.
she needs a minute. Just fucking stop talking. I'm gonna go take a walk.
Yeah, she's ashamed of him and he's trying to beg forgiveness and she needs a minute from her loser father and goes and takes a walk. Burke and Vicky are sitting together at the Blue Whale and Vicky is telling about old Jerry Maguire and Liz's weird cagey behavior. Jerry Maguire comes in and tells Vicky she's pretty
In his
and
little sailor hat.
in his little sailor hat, yep. Then his creepy friend comes along and is leering at her like, "Hubba hubba, wooga," like
Yeah, Vicky introduces Burke to Jerry Maguire, but then Jerry's friend enters, and Vicky and Burke gossip about the two creeps who have gone to sit at the bar, but this friend is the Willie that Jason was talking to on the phone, and he's just staring Vicky down, and
Burke doesn't like the way that guy's oogling Vicky, and he wants to go Cro-Magnon and get him.
Jerry doesn't like it either. He's like, "Dude, stop that. It's weird. You're
Yeah,
gonna
you're gonna fuck up the blackmailing.
yeah."
Blackmail Club mission is about blackmail, not dames, damn it. Jerry Maguire hates it too, and his new friend Willie is trying to get an invite to Collinwood.
But Jerry isn't into it. He's like, "No, dude, you're even more of a creep than I am, and you'll fuck up the whole thing."
He tells him to be patient, and then Willie says, Willie isn't a patient man in third person.
Yeah, that
And
was annoying.
just then he bumps into some old man and tries to pick a fight and is ready to bash a bottle over this old man's head. But Jerry Maguire is like, will you stop this bullshit?
He holds him back
Yeah.
while Burke and Vicky look on in judgment, like, "Look at those trashy people." Can't
Yeah.
imagine Liz having that dude stay at the house, and
Right.
Burke remarks that Jerry Maguire seems to keep bad company.
Back at the Evanses, Maggie comes back from her walk.
Sam wants a cookie for not being drunk.
She's distant and resigned and doesn't fucking care. And he's like, I'm gonna not drink for good this time. And she's like, I've heard that before, whatever. She is gonna make him some dinner and then get ready to go out with Joe because the 60s. And he's begging for her approval and redemption. And he says that he doesn't need any dinner.
He just wants to explain more about
Yeah.
the manslaughtering.
And he doesn't know what to do. And she's like, I know what you could fucking do. Go to Burke. And he's like, but I could go to jail too. And she's like, well, maybe you fucking should. And then they'll feed your ass. So you take care of you, you fucking baby. Hateful baby. That's what Sam is.
He is resistant to the idea, and he worries that Maggie hates him now, and, like, of course she
She
does.
should. Like, unfortunately, she doesn't.
Yeah.
It would be easier for her if she did.
He is overwhelmed by Maggie's disappointment in him, and she goes off to get ready for her date. Sam approaches the phone and dials and asks to be connected to Burke Devlin's room. Later, he's pacing the living room and a car pulls up. Burke knocks a few times and Sam says nothing and makes no move to answer the door, but Burke lets himself in. Sam has invited Burke over so that he can confess to him, but he seems to be chickening out and he's stalling and having one drink and then wanting another drink. Sam eventually tells Burke that Roger was driving the manslaughtering car and he saw Burke passed out in the back seat when Roger hit and killed that guy. Burke demands hilariously that Sam say the name of the manslaughterer. He's like, "Who was it? Say it. Say it again. Say it again."
It was kind of hot. Not gonna lie. I was like,
"Who's your daddy?"
Roger.
E End credits. Episode 200. I
I
don't
have no notes for episode
well,
200, so
here,
I vaguely remember some of the first part, but
I'll speed through it.
that's why I was horning in there because I knew that I just didn't have anything.
Well, we told them up front that you
Yeah.
were nodding off, so episode 200, Victoria Winters reminds us that Collinwood is spooky and isolated. Also, that manslaughtering happened in case we forgot about that during all the bird lady business. At the Evanses, Burke makes Sam go through the story again and again. Opening credits. Sam tells Burke about the bribe and is like, well, Roger gave me $15,000 and took a dozen of my shitty paintings in exchange to make it look legitimate. I don't remember if he goes into, but now an art dealer wants to sell those paintings and Roger won't produce them. And really, that's the only reason I am telling you this now, aside from wanting to impress Maggie. Maggie returns home and is pleased that Sam told Burke about the manslaughtering. She tells him that she is proud. Maggie then asks Burke just what he's going to do with this information now that he has it. Does he plan to send Sam to jail? Sam remarks that Burke doesn't want justice, he just wants revenge, and he says this like an insult, but Burke agrees and is like, "Yep, sure do." Sam asks if he's going to go to the police, that he just go ahead and do it and get it over with, but Burke wants to toy with him for a few minutes, so he says he's going to think about all the terrible things he's going to do to Roger and Sam, and he gets all menacing and vaguely sexual about it. That
Yeah.
I remember Becca getting a kick out of that
I was
when
too.
Bert's like, "I'm just gonna think about everything I'm going to do to you." And she was like, "Ooh."
What are you gonna do? Tell me about it.
At Collinwood, we meet our old friend, the clock, close up to let us know it's late at night. Liz is arguing with Roger in the drawing room about Jerry Maguire hanging around. Roger wants him gone. Liz is dressed like a pilgrim, or rather, like Tori Spelling dressed like a pilgrim in House of Yes. They bicker, and then Liz flees upstairs as the clock chimes. Back over at the Evanses is Burke wants to drag Sam right now up to Collinwood to confront Roger with all this.
And I'm
And
like, now in the middle of the night?
Maggie and Sam are both like, can you not just do that in the morning? But Burke won't agree, and he's a dick to Maggie, which persuades Sam because he likes it when people are abusive to Maggie, since
Mhm.
that's his favorite hobby. So Sam agrees to join Burke at Collinwood. In the drawing room, old Jerry Maguire is pouring himself some more of Roger's brandy. He relaxes on the couch in front of the fire when Roger enters, annoyed. Jerry offers him a drink of his brandy, and Roger is like, "No, I just came in for a book," and he's being snippy, and Jerry starts out being overly friendly and annoying. Then Roger tells him that he should leave tomorrow, but Jerry doesn't agree and they argue. Jerry teases him again, like, how many times am I going to have to put you in your place and remind you that your sister makes all of the decisions here and your wants and needs are meaningless? And Liz comes in and breaks it up. So Roger restates in front of Liz that Jerry should leave. Roger urges Liz to kick him out right now on the spot, and Jerry threatens her vaguely and is like, "Yeah, Liz, do that and see what happens." Jerry wins, and Liz is like, "No, I want him to stay." And Jerry gloats, and Roger pouts, and then exits the scene. Jerry then tries to strong arm Liz into controlling Roger's attitude. He's like, I found that all really very unpleasant, and I think you should probably see to it that he doesn't do that again. She resists and is like, "Listen, I'm letting you stay in the house, but I can't make Roger be nice. He's
No
never
one
been
can.
nice." She resists and he threatens and then bids her a good night and then demands that she return the good night, and it's gross, and she does. Liz is defeated and sits in her chair and sort of takes her head in her hands, but she's interrupted by a knock at the door, and it's the remaining members of Manslaughter Club come to chat with Roger. She doesn't want to let them in and is like, "It's the middle of the night. He's gone up to bed. Can you not do this tomorrow, whatever it is?" Liz wants to know what it is they want. Burke tells her, "Oh, I think you know," and she's like, "Well, no, I don't." They go on about it and go back and forth and argue long enough and loud enough that Roger comes down on his own. He's surprised to see them. Suspenseful music sting in credits.
The end.
Well, Sam remains horrible.
Yep.
I don't like Jerry Maguire, but
No, he is kinda hot, though.
he is a little
But
bit attractive.
like, the way he's playing the character makes him
Yeah,
unattractive.
the actor is attractive, the character is not.
Yes. Which shows, I think, kind of
Talent.
yes, that.
I suppose we'd have to see him in something else to see if he is just good at playing an unlikable character or if he's also skeevy in his own voice. I didn't notice. This is sort of a little spoiler, but as I've told you guys a million times, I've watched up to episode like 340 something, I think. And I didn't even notice the first time. We've just met Willie, and the actor playing Willie is replaced after 5 episodes. And I don't think I ever noticed there were 2 different Willies. There's a dick joke in there somewhere, I'm just not sure what it is.
Me either, I just Beavis laughed a bit.
You said
Or
Willies.
that's Butthead, though.
Yeah.
Beavis is more man, I can't believe I used to actually watch that. Speaking of things that I can't believe we consumed, we're gonna need to do book club too, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll wrap this up and say, join us next week to find out what Manslaughter Club gets up to next.
And also Blackmail Club, even though it seems like
You're not gonna
less
find
fun.
out what Blackmail Club is up to for some weeks.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a lot more of this, of Jerry threatening Liz and her being bitchy at him, but then doing what he wants anyway.
Yeah.
He threatens and she gripes but complies and on for weeks. But
Yep.
this program is brought to you by Amy and Austin and Jacob, and you could join them by sponsoring us on Patreon at patreon.com/ghostswantyoudead, where you can get extra bonus episodes each month and undetermined other things depending on how much. Head over and check out the reward tiers, see if there's anything you like. If there's not, please follow us on Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky at Ghosts Want You Dead. Also YouTube, and you can rate and review on the podcast platform of your choice. Or even just keep listening to the show if you don't want to do any of those things. Just come back next week, okay?
Come hang out.
Also, a reminder on Tuesdays, we are recapping each episode of AMC's The Vampire Lestat. It's almost halfway over already. There's only 7 episodes, so it'll be quick. And as we've had said a million times, we were going to be talking about it anyway, so might as well record it. We still have to talk about this wretched novel that we're tome tripping this month, so we're hanging up now.
We're hanging up now. Bye.
Change it up on you. I love you.
I love hanging up.